Welcome back to week 3. Very excited to see everybody here tonight. The work has been really fun. The conversations have been great. So I'm excited to see, how this keeps evolving. And I want to thank Miranda for sending around some of the articles you've been sharing over the couple weeks. That the interview with Julie and just other stuff that you've written about that kind of ties into some of the themes or about this play. Really appreciate that. And so yeah, just excited for another evening in the rehearsal room. I will let you guys get to it. I'll be listening in as much as possible. I'll try to pop back in at the end. And that's it. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Nathan.
See you.
Welcome back, everybody. Titus cast. Has everyone had a nice week?
Yes.
Nobody cooked anybody's children this week? Gosh, I've been thinking about this play so much, and it's such a strange play to have on your mind all the time. It'd be tough to do a long run of this show.
I have to say, after we left last time, I was spiritually bothered. I really was. I always tell my students that I create rituals around how we enter the work and how we leave it. And the veil is thin for me, just as a being in this world. And I have to really take care of myself leaving this space. And then also the conversations that we're having and that I can't not have that mirrors what we're going through in our world today. And then saying those things directly as an artist today. And I get off of this call talking about these things in this grotesque world that is our grotesque world. And then I was just shaking and shivering, and I'm a deep feeler already. And so it was tough, actually. You're right. It would be hard to do this whole run, especially in a world like today, without really radically taking care of yourself.
It's important. It's an emotional thing to be an actor, even no matter how much technique you use. And doing a show like this, like you said, you'd have to really take care of yourself mentally. Even working on a show like Death of a Salesman can get really sad and really depressing. And the thing about this, too, is it's not just it's grotesque, but it's not buffoonery. It's really well written, which makes it affect you in a different way, and if some shows, if you're working on with this level of violence, you'd almost be able to turn it off in your head, but it's Shakespeare, and he did a good job constructing it. So what I was thinking we do this week is we've broken it down, we've talked about some verse, and I thought we would read it all the way through with 2 separate casts. Read it all the way through with one cast, discuss. Read it all the way through again with a different cast and discuss. Before we can set, it's never a total performance with the working actor's journey, as we know, but I like to get as close as we can on the final day to a performance. Tony.
Just a quick note. Unfortunately, I'm doing a tribute to Afelt Fugard, and it's next Tuesday.
Okay.
And we're rehearsing in the afternoon, and so I won't be here for the last one. I'm sorry to say, but just so you're aware.
We'll miss you terribly.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, this is getting complicated because I have a job down at South Coast reading in one of those play reading things. And my rehearsal is from 11 to 5 that day. So I'm going to be scurrying around to try and get to our thing.
Is it possible? I mean, has it ever been done? Dare we even suggest that we just skip a Tuesday and do it the following if people are free?
We'll talk to Nathan about that, and I think it's definitely possible. Although I would like to see Jamal's one-man Titus, because
me too.
Well,
I'm telling you.
I'm kind of hoping, the dramaturg gets a walk on and discovers, discovers her second calling.
It could change it from Miranda to Tamora. Indeed. Yeah, you know what, Tony? We'll talk to Nathan and see if we want to move it around, and if it seems like it's pretty casual to me. Whatever, it's up to everybody's schedules, and Jamal and Miranda and Charlotte. So. We'd love to have all of you here for the final day, though. It would be epic. for sure, because you guys are so wonderful in this piece. I really hope you get to do this. I would like to see Angie's Titus for sure. That
Absolutely.
would be a hell of a show.
Oh, I've seen
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Oh man, in that old space, Angie, where you did Mother Courage, Titus would be
Oh,
really
right.
cool in there.
Right. That
Yeah.
was something, wasn't it?
I was thinking about that Einstein show that you and I did the reading of at Pasadena Playhouse.
Right.
That was a really
Right.
cool
It was. Yeah.
father-daughter conversation. It was really interesting. You know, one of the other things that Jamal was talking about was, the actor's reaction to the material. It was very interesting in that article with Simon Russell Beale, which is where he was overwhelmed by the violence and I just couldn't, why, and then he had that little thing, he spoke to Brian Cox and Brian Cox said, marvelous play, marvelous marvelous play. So
Brian loves
everyone is
there's a clip of Brian doing this scene online.
There's a
clip?
If
you can Google it, and there's a clip of Brian doing the speech from the end of this scene online. That's fantastic. He's just an excellent grump. My goodness. Yeah. It's like I wanted to see the show. I haven't seen the show that he did with Kieran Culkin, and I can't even remember the name of it right now. Succession. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I gotta see it. Yeah. Anyway, what I thought, let's go ahead and read this through. I'm
having a terrible time accessing this on my script online suddenly. The computer is just such a dreadful.
Angie, I used the Folger, and if you Google Titus,
I did too.
I have a PDF. I can email you, Angie, right now if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's there's one section of it, and then it starts again. So don't get thrown off by that. Begins twice, and then a couple of pages. I'll send it to you right now. Okay, here we go.
Got everything we need in the room. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Copy link. Send a copy. Here we go. Okay. All right. For some reason, what is your email? Your email doesn't. Now I've emailed
here. A million. Now I actually can. Here, just a minute. Maybe I got it this way.
Okay.
I've got it. I've actually got it. So
all right.
Good.
Oh no! Now it's gone away.
Well, just give me your email and I'll send it to you.
Just a minute. I had it. Now I lost the Zoom.
It's hard to situate all the windows.
No, it's not the situating the windows. It's when I use one, then the other disappears. I don't know why that's happening.
Nick, are you the host? Do you have co-host privileges? Because if you do, you could share your screen and pull the.
Just a minute.
Pull it up.
I think I've got it. Just a minute.
I don't think so, Miranda. But
I think we're good now. Okay, we're good.
You guys are good.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's can we start out and I'd like to read the scene all the way through, and can we have Jamal read Titus, and Angie, would you read Tamora our first time around, and then we'll switch and read it again the second time, and Tony, would you play Marcus and Chiron, and I'll read Publius and Demetrius.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thus, in this strange and sad habiliment, I will encounter with Andronicus and say, I am revenge, sent from below to join with him and I'm going to start this over. I've been a little verklempt.
Yeah, no problem. Please take your time.
Thus, in this strange and sad habiliment, I will encounter with Andronicus and say, I am revenge, sent from below to join with him and right his heinous wrongs. Knock at his door, where they say he keeps to ruminate strange plots of dire revenge. Tell him revenge is come to join with him and work confusion on his enemies.
Who doth molest my contemplation? Is it your trick to make me ope the door, that so my sad decrees may fly away, and all my studies be to no effect? You are deceived. For what I mean to do, see here. In bloody lines I have set down, and what is written shall be executed.
I am come to talk with thee.
No, not a word. How can I grace my talk, wanting a hand to give it action? Thou hast the odds of me, therefore no more.
If thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me.
I am not mad. I know thee well enough. Witness this wretched stump. Witness these crimson lines. Witness these trenches made by grief and care. Witness the tiring day and heavy night. Witness all sorrow that I know thee well for our proud empress, mighty Tamora. Is not thy coming for my other hand?
Oh, no, thou sad man. I am not Tamora. She is thy enemy, I thy friend. I am revenge, sent from the infernal kingdom to ease the gnawing vulture of thy mind by working wreakful vengeance on thy foes. Come down and welcome me to this world's light. Confer with me of murder and of death. There is not a hollow cave or lurking place, no vast obscurity or misty veil where bloody murder or detested rape can couch with fear, but I will find them out. And in their ears tell them my dreadful name, revenge, which makes the foul offender quake.
Art thou revenge? And art thou sent to me to be a torment to mine enemies?
I am. Therefore, come down and welcome me.
Do me some service ere I come to thee. Lo, by thy side, where rape and murder stands. Now give me some assurance that thou art revenged. Stab them, or tear them on thy chariot wheels, and then I'll come and buy thy wagoner and whirl along with thee about the globe. Provide thee two proper palfreys, black as jet, to hale thy vengeful wagon swift away, and find out murderers in their guilty caves. And when thy car is loaded with their heads, I will dismount and by thy wagon will trot like a serval footman all day long, even from Hyperion's rising in the east until his very downfall in the sea. And day by day, I'll do this heavy task, so thou destroy, rapine, and murder there.
These are my ministers, and come with me.
Are they thy ministers? What are they called?
Rape and murder.
Mm.
Therefore called because they take vengeance on such kind of men.
Good Lord, how like the Empress' sons they are. And you the Empress. But we worldly men have miserable, mad, mistaken eyes. Oh, sweet revenge, now do I come to thee, and if one arm's embracement will content thee, I will embrace thee in it by and by.
This clothing with him fits his lunacy. Whate'er I forge to feed his brain sick humors, do you uphold and maintain in your speeches. For now he firmly takes me for revenge. And being credulous in this mad thought, I'll make him send for Lucius his son. And whilst I at a banquet hold him sure, I'll find some cunning practice out of hand to scatter and disperse the giddy Goths, or at least make them his enemies. See, here he comes. I will ply my theme.
Long have I been forlorn and all for thee. Welcome, dread fury, to my woeful house. Rapine and murder, you are welcome too. How like the empress and her sons you are. Well off fitted had you but a Moor. Cannot all hell afford you such a devil? For well I wot the empress never wags, but in her company there is a Moor. And would you represent our queen aright, it were convenient you had such a devil. Welcome as you are. What shall we do?
What wouldst thou have us do, Andronicus?
Show me a murderer, I'll deal with him.
Show me a villain that hath done a rape, and I am sent to be revenged on him.
Show me 1,000 that hath done thee wrong, and I will be revenged on them all.
Look round about the wicked streets of Rome. And when thou foundst a man that's like thyself, good murder, stab him. He's a murderer. Go thou with him. And when it is thy hap to find another that is like to thee, good rapine, stab him. He is a ravisher. Go thou with him. And in the emperor's court there is a queen attended by a Moor. Well shalt thou know her by thine own proportion, for up and down she doth resemble thee. I pray thee, do on them some violent death. They have been violent to me and mine.
Well hast thou lessoned us, this shall we do. But would it please thee, good Andronicus, to send for Lucius, thy thrice valiant son, who leads towards Rome a band of warlike Goths, and bid him come and banquet at thy house? When he is here, even in thy solemn feast, I will bring in the empress and her sons, the emperor himself, and all thy foes, and at thy mercy shall they stoop and kneel, and on them shalt thou ease thy angry heart. What says Andronicus to this device?
Marcus, my brother, to sad Titus calls. Go, gentle Marcus, to thy nephew Lucius. Thou shalt inquire him out among the Goths. Bid him repair to me and bring with him some of the chiefest princes of the Goths. Bid him encamp his soldiers where they are. Tell him the emperor and the empress too feast at my house, and he shall feast with them. This do thou for my love, and so let him as he regards his aged father's life.
This will I do, and soon return again.
And now will I hence about thy business, and take my ministers along with me.
Nay, nay, let rape and murder stay with me, or else I'll call my brother back again and cleave to no revenge but Lucius.
What say you, boys? Will you abide with him whilst I go tell my lord the emperor how I have governed our determined jest? Yield to his humor smooth, and speak him fair, and tarry with him till I turn again?
I knew them all, though they supposed me mad, and will all reach them in their own devices, a pair of cursed hellbounds and their damn.
Madam, departed pleasure, leave us here.
Farewell, Andronicus. Revenge now goes to lay a complot to betray thy foes.
I know thou dost, and sweet revenge.
Tell us, tell us, old man, how shall we be employed?
Tut, I have work enough for you to do. Publius, come hither. Cassius and Valentine.
What is your will?
Know you these two?
The Emperor's sons, I take them, Chiron and Demetrius.
Publius, thou art too much deceived. The one is murder, and rape is the other's name. And therefore bind them, gentle Publius, Cassius and Valentine. Lay hands on them. Oft have you heard me wish for such an hour, and now I find it. Therefore bind them sure, and stop their mouths if they begin to cry.
Villains, forbear, we are the Empress's son.
And therefore do we what we are commanded. Stop, close their mouths. Let them not speak a word. Is he sure bound? Look that you bind them fast.
Come, Lavinia. Look, thy foes are bound. Sir, stop their mouths. Let them not speak to me, but let them hear what fearful words I utter. O villains, Chiron and Demetrius, here stands the spring whom you have stained with mud. This goodly summer with your winter mixed. You killed her husband, and for that foul fault, 2 of her brothers were condemned to death. My hand cut off and made merry jest. Both her sweet hands, her tongue, and that more dear than hands or tongue, her spotless chastity. Inhuman traitors, you constrained and forced. What would you say if I should let you speak? Villains, for shame you could not beg for grace. Hark, wretches, how I mean to martyr you. This one hand yet is left to cut your throats, else that Lavinia 'tween her stumps doth hold the basin that receives your guilty blood. You know your mother means to feast with me and calls herself revenge and thinks me mad. Hark, villains, I will grind your bones to dust, and with your blood and it I'll make a paste. And of the paste the coffin I will rear, and make 2 pasties of your shameful heads, and bid that strumpet your unhallowed dam like to the earth swallow her own increase. This is the feast that I have been to, and this the banquet she shall surfeit on. For worse than Philomel you use my daughter, and worse than Procne I will be revenged. And now prepare your throats. Lavinia, come. Receive the blood. And when that they are dead, let me go grind their bones to powder small, and with this hateful liquor temper it, and in that paste let their vile heads be baked. Come, be everyone officious to make this banquet, which I wish may prove more stern and bloody than the centaur's feast. So, now bring the men, for I'll play the cook and see them ready against their mother comes.
Beautiful. Jamal, wow.
Eek.
I love, you made a lot of choices in there, Jamal. You took this home and you took it apart and you did some beautiful work on it.
It's the conversations that we're having, because I truly think that when I say the veil is thin between sanity and insanity, I think that I want to ride that line. And so I gave myself permission to not know. Like, I was going to sit down and like look at this before, and I said, nah, let's just go in and rock this joint out. am I sane or am I insane? Who gives a fuck? I'm gonna come in here and get mine, because that's how he feels. That's the state that he's in. And
Yeah.
like, you don't know. And it's like, if I come in and play the game and just play the game, maybe I will get found out. Maybe it does get scrappy here, you know? And that's the thing for me when it gets into my head, because I'm a heady person as much as I am emotional. I can get stuck either way. When I get too much in my head, I forget the reality that they're in the moment and we're outside of it, you know? And so, like, how can I throw myself in the moment with the conversation? And even myself, as I say, I am not mad. I am not mad. That, then let's go there then. If I'm not mad, I'm about to do what I'm going to do. Like, what is that? And so it was fun to explore that. Because I think we all have a little bit of that in us. And I think in our own little ways, we've been pushed in that way. We're like, oh, try me again. Try me again. And you go and see, like, we've all been there. We just haven't, most of us in life, gratefully so, have not flipped over to that other side. But it's possible for all of us. So it was fun to ride the wave.
Yeah,
I'm
there was
always
I got a real sense of fatherhood in that reading, though, then, and that was a new level that we've taken it to. And it's interesting, this session has become a lot about family. But you made a beautiful choice on chastity. You peaked uh with anger on them removing her chastity, and it was a very bold reading of that section, and I really got a sense on that was the thing that Titus was the most upset with them about, and it was a very clear, lovely choice. I really enjoyed.
legacy gone, you know, like
Yeah,
legacy gone, you know, and like in this time, like your bloodline is everything. You know, like
yeah,
in this time, who's born into your bloodline is, you know, what's projected to define your family, your bloodline, and history going forward for all time. That's the mentality then, you know. And so, like, her chastity shifts legacy, you know, in the minds of these beings. And that's the large thing for them. And they do own it in this time. Quite, that's what fathers, that's what they're conditioned to believe. They own their dog. We don't say that today, but like even today, it's still a nuanced way of like, in the spirit of us as men. You know, it's hard to say that, but it is this ownership that is ingrained in us, you know? And so I like that, like riding the wave, like I didn't plan that at all. It was the wave. When I got to that, it felt like that, you
yes,
know?
you went where Shakespeare was leading you, and it worked perfectly. And I really liked how you faded into the I think it's beautiful language when he says her summer with your winter mixed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very touching and powerful line. And from your leap from chastity, through that section was beautiful. Well read. I took some notes on the whole thing, and I thought we'd go back to the top and just talk about the scene a little bit, if that's okay with everybody.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Angie, I really want to see you play one of these roles so bad. Tamara, you in a this I put into artificial intelligence just for fun. The costuming of Tamara and her two sons dressed as revenge to see what AI would say. And it drew me a picture of this queen. I wish I could share it with you guys. I don't know how to do that, but of this queen all in black with this fantastic costume that Tamara has dressed herself in. And I love the joy in the beginning of this. And you know what I really noticed this time, from your reading, Angie, was that it starts with the word thus, and it has a feeling that this is the middle of a conversation that's already began. Am I right with that, Miranda? It seems like she's already been talking to the boys about this as,
Yes, yeah,
as they come
I think
on.
that's right, and certainly we see that, we see that in Shakespeare all the time. Characters enter sort of in medias res, as it were, or in the middle of a conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, she's been getting ready for this all afternoon in her revenge costume, um, which I really love. I thought it was interesting. Something struck me that Titus comes out after the first exchange and says, "I am not mad." Um, and I there was something about the way that you said it, Jamal. that I found that line really interesting, that Titus comes straight out and says that. And I wanted to explore that a little bit. I don't know why exactly, but it just felt. Could you guys read that little exchange from Tamora, from line 20, Angie, and just into that speech?
If thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me.
I am not mad. I know thee well enough. Witness this wretched stump. Witness these crimson lines. Witness these trenches made by grief and care. Witness the tiring day and heavy night. Witness all sorrow, that I know thee well for our proud empress, mighty Tamora. Is not thy coming for my other hand?
No, thou sad man, I am not Tamora. She is thy enemy, I thy friend.
Okay, we can stop there. What that exchange continues to jump off the page. I find it so interesting. He could start that speech with, I know thee well enough. He doesn't need to say, I am not mad. And we discussed this back and forth about whether or not his madness is coming out. But I think it's interesting that he wants her to know that right off the bat. What do you think about that section, Tony?
It's funny. I was thinking, I was looking at the section in a whole different way. That I was trying to figure out when it changes. They're personifying not human beings, but these furies, if you will. So I think, it's the director's hat on me, that there's a lot of fun in that for them. I mean, the whole thing, I am revenge sent from the infernal kingdom to ease the gnawing vulture of thy mind. They're almost conjuring. They're like the witches. I don't think it serves us to really, I mean, we're doing that, but I think in production it wouldn't really serve us to do that section realistically, because you got a switch when all of a sudden they're confabbing with each other. What do you think, son? Should we do this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Should we do it? Oh, and in a kind of way, it sort of heightens some. So that's what I was thinking. That's where my mind was when you guys were doing that. I'm sad to say, but so I
No. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Let me be the really mundane voice here.
Yeah.
And part of me is thinking they are separated by,
Yes.
he's above, she's below. Titus is up there with somebody. He's not up there by himself.
What makes you say that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I did partly because when he calls people, they're right there.
So that's when he comes out of the room, I believe. But I think because his first line is, "Who doth molest my contemplation?" It seems like he's alone.
He seems he's
and
alone,
then he says, "Is it your trick to make me open the door?" Which means that based on what he has planned to do, based on his vengeful spirit, it seems like to me, are you trying to make me open the door to like lessen what I'm about to do? Like what I'm about to move through. And so it also makes me think, getting to that line, I am not mad. It seems like there has been like, from that first speech, it seems like there's been pressure on him to like find some sense. And he's like, I'm not mad, I'm doing it.
And he's writing. Am I correct, Jamal? Is that what you envisioned? He's
writing.
He's putting words down.
Yeah, the bloody lines are lines.
That's what he says.
So he's writing words in his blood, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in the Tamor version, of course, that's quite literally what he's doing. He's using his own blood, but in Shakespeare's text, it doesn't. It can mean the subject matter
The
of
lines
the writing is bloody.
of a bloody subject.
It would be really wonderful. And where is he getting the blood? He's getting it from the stump.
From his hand.
Yeah. And that, in the Tamor, that's right.
Is that where he gets it in the Tamor?
Yeah. I think she literally has he's dabbing a paintbrush in his hand.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I say
that's why I say the line between and not mad, I don't know if that's the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is revenge. I mean, write things down in bloody lines. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's not mad because, like, whatever he does next, he just doesn't give, he doesn't care.
Well, when you
Mm-hmm.
said, I laughed when you said, I am not mad, because Tamora's off here going, if thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me. And he's like, I'm not mad. You know, I see what you
You,
are. And it was such, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead, Tony.
No, you know, it's funny. I'm just, again, thinking like a director. It doesn't, I know if I were the actor playing Tamara and you did what you just did, I would go against that a million. But I think there is a way to use the, if you will, the witches in the Scottish, you know, that there's some sort of ritualistic thing she does with her son that doesn't have to be silly, but it has, you know, that gives a kind of otherworldliness, because they're trying to convince him. They're not trying to convince them that they're convince Simon that they're three regular people called. Uh, I think that they're the embodiment of these things. It never hit me before, and somehow bringing that out. I don't. What do you think, Angie? Because I mean, this is in your. What would you think if I were directing this, and during that section of I Am Revenge said that I would score that a little bit and ask you to find a way, without being comical and fun, to find a way to ritualize that? Would you run away and never work with me again?
No, I'd try it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm always under. I guess the question here is, how much do they believe in the possibility of there being a creature called revenge?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been
Yeah.
playing it with a very modern kind of sensibility that knows that this is made up, and aren't I clever? As opposed to somebody who, like Lady Macbeth, could think she had control of it, and then suddenly she didn't. I don't know. Just
No.
saying, how much do they actually believe that there
Well,
are such creatures as revenge?
it's funny because I guess for me, I don't think they do. I mean, you know, there is conceptually, but I don't think that they are these things. I think they're giving the best performance they can
No,
for
but do they
Titus.
believe
Does
in the
Titus
actual
believe it?
existence of these things in the world?
Yeah, Miranda, historically, what do you
Yeah,
think we're
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at?
You know, I think I mean, that's a great question. It depends on how sort of far back we want to go with the sort of classical setting. You know, certainly the ancient Greeks more than the Romans believed in the Furies. Johnny, I think that was your word. I mean, these are their sort of they're the
Yeah.
Arenges, right? They're the avenging Furies. What I had a question that I think is sort of adjacent to what we're talking about, that may offer a way in. I feel as though there's a moment in the scene when Titus is, you know, completely takes control. And I think Tamara never realizes that he has. And I can see several moments at which that could possibly be happening. And there's an argument for all of for any of those moments. So I wondered what the three actors and Nick, as director, where you think that moment happens. And you know, certainly, you know, art thou revenge, you know, certainly by then Titus has taken control, and Tamara doesn't realize it. So that's one possible way to think about the scene. But I wondered what the three of you thought, and maybe we can't pinpoint it specifically, you
You,
know.
Thank you. Yeah.
you know, as far as these otherworldly these concepts of, you know, I keep thinking of Iago, and I think of Edmund, who are nihilists in a world that is religious.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, there's no, you know, I mean, Edmund even says it, you know, I mean, you
Yeah.
know, when, you know, oh, I would be this way. I don't care if there were a God, weren't a God.
The
If there's star, I was born under this star, that
the
star.
maidenliest star.
Yes, exactly. You know, which is a
Mm-hmm.
substitute for, you know, because they didn't really want to use religious things. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I guess it's not, I guess I was thinking about when Angie said, It's not an either or. Some people, I think, do believe in it, and some people don't, and that's their uniqueness. And generally, as a rule, it seems that the darker characters do not. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But then it's
Fascinating.
also looking at, in the time too, what did people think of people with psychoses? What did we think that people with psychoses heard other voices because they were mad? And so if there's, like we have today, if we have a social consciousness, which they did at this time, what we did with those people who were not normal, who were mad, who were considered insane by insanity, they don't believe in it, but they believe that someone that is gone with a disorder that hasn't been given a name yet, we forget these things when we have these conversations, which is interesting to me. But like, that's what's happening here. They actually believe that he is mad so they can perceive him. So this world has a perception about mental illness. We're just in a world that has a lot of names for these things today. But these people were cast out from society. We would talk to them and play these things. Like, oh, they're here. They can't, they're not really here. And then because they believe it, it's like, oh, you want to play games? Okay, oh, forlorn. Oh, you. Oh, murder. Oh, no. Right? Because they know the consciousness of the world they're living in, what we think about these people and how we hide these people away and manipulate these people to make our world seem normal in the world.
That's exactly the way I have been thinking of it, that since I am convinced myself that he really is crazy, I can get away with
That's
something
how you hear
I
it.
don't believe it. I mean, that's been the basis of what I've been doing. But it did disturb me at one point. Does she believe in such creatures? I don't know.
I think that, watching this, if I'm directing something, I tend to look at it from an audience perspective, and things that would be confusing are not. And as an audience watching the last reading of this section felt very important to me. And just as Miranda said, "Art thou revenge" really sticks out. And I'd like to know the different, hear the different choices from the different Tituses. When does he decide to play along? And is that the choice that he makes? Is it during her speech, when she says, "I am not Tamora, she's thy enemy and I thy friend"? And it seems to me that Titus knows what's going on from the beginning, but that's just what I gather from the scene.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's just what he says, and the audience knows that that is Tamora and her sons, and he says literally it is Tamora, and so like the audience is like, he literally says what he knows. The audience, I feel like, is with Titus because they know.
What do you think, Tony?
I think it's one of those things that the longer you can postpone it, and it's almost like he's really, really looking. But clearly, by the time, as Jamal says, by the time he says that line, and the other thing that happens in this thing, I don't think for a second Marcus, recognizing them, because Marcus definitely recognizes them, I believe, would leave Titus unless there was some sort of, I tried to get that, okay, I see, okay, I'll play along, I'll go do this thing, and go to Lucius and tell them that this is the deal going on, and Tamora and the two sons are involved in. But I don't know, there's argument, as you say, that right off the get-go, but I don't see the dramatic value of that. I think that Titus has to figure out a way. He has to figure out a way of somehow saying those lines, but perhaps being puzzled by them. Being incredulous. Sorry.
What if he's in the inner above, right?
Yeah.
What if he doesn't actually see her until he says, "I'm not mad"? In other words, what if he says all of that stuff, not necessarily knowing who he's talking to?
Yeah.
He peeks over the edge of the inner above and sees her after she says, "If thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me." And then he engages. I don't know. It was just
I agree.
That would be a solution. Yeah.
I would say we can try, but I also think too, because like as soon as he comes down, he keeps saying, "Oh, you look just like them," and then as soon as she leaves, he says. And so I think sometimes we try to make things dramatic that is in the language already. Like, I feel like we're fighting against what it's saying. Like, as soon as she leaves, like, you're right, Tony. Yes, Marcus knows. As soon as he calls them over, he says, "Who are they?" And they say who they are. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everybody
this,
knows, and the whole
yeah,
script says everybody knows Tamora's crazy.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
played, and her two sons got something wrong
yeah,
with them.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's a sense I got a sense from your
yeah,
reading, Jamal, and I liked it that you know Titus was shocked at the audacity
Yes.
of Tamara to come in this outfit with Chiron and Demeter and think that he was this crazy. You know, I mean, it's that's one way to go. You know, if we were doing this together, I might have two different stagings if you know if another Titus had a different choice on that. But
I
I
always say
think
this
that
too
that
because I
line,
don't
I
know
think we should
where.
really pay attention to art thou revenge and art thou sent to me to be a torment, because the reading of that line is quite important on the choice that Titus is making for the rest of the scene, I believe.
And Miranda, you asked a question earlier about when does he take control? Because he comes down and he asks them, "What shall we do?" And then they ask him back, "What would you have us do?" And then he says, "Okay,
Yeah.
let's
So
go." That's why I
that's
don't
um,
believe I think the other side is like trying to force something, and we just try. I'm not saying that is a bad idea because there's no bad idea, so I'm
mm,
not
no,
doing
no,
that.
no,
But
no,
I
no,
do
no.
feel
mm,
in my bones that the language is telling us something very clearly,
Mhm.
mhm,
very
mm,
clearly. And I don't know why push against what's so clear in the story. Titus does not change in this scene. He
mm.
Well,
goes
I will
through.
say that Anthony Hopkins does play it with confusion in the film. You know, I believe he
He got to
played.
convince them.
Yes, I mean
Yeah.
yeah, and and the audience isn't sure. You know, the audience
Mm.
definitely is like, is this going to work? Is he really going to buy that she's revenge? And you know,
Yeah.
you do get a sense of that.
You know, the, the madness. Two things. The madness is sort of thrust upon Titus when the worst possible things happen to him. How does he respond? We talked about it last week. Is he laughs.
Mm.
He laughs in the face, and that that's strange. Secondly, in terms of revenge, Tamara is revenge. She, in the sense that she's revenging her family. So she is literally revenge. Both people are, it's a war of revenge. She's revenging. It's that cycle of violence that we've talked about. So in a sense, I wonder, if there isn't, Tamara's trying to sell Titus that she's revenge for his purposes, when in fact she's revenge for her purposes. You know what I mean? So it's there's a there's an interesting thing of that word in this particular case, because that's, I mean, revenge is what she's after too. In that case, in that way, they actually share a goal in a kind of way. Am I being
Oh yeah.
clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
100%. And the family particularly. And this is
Yes.
why I was thinking this week that sort of unwitting cannibalism and particularly unwittingly eating your children. That the reason why it's such a fitting emblem for revenge and just shows up again and again and again, from classical authors right on through to Sunday nights. Well, we didn't have cannibalism, but the Sunday night's episode of The Last of Us was all about these cycles of revenge and how they dehumanize. This is the thing. I
Right.
think it's happening in Titus. Titus becomes dehumanized. Tamara becomes dehumanized. These cycles of vengeance don't just trap us in cycles of vengeance, but we become subhuman if we lose our humanity and are able to do things like unwittingly consume our own children. So
Right.
it's
Right.
all very,
I
I think
guess.
it's all there in this scene. It's incredible.
Yeah, I guess I don't think it's like, hey, what should we play for Titus? I don't think. Oh, should we play? I don't
Mm-mm.
know. What should we
She
do? And
she
they pick.
she
No, no.
has,
I think
yeah,
it's very deliberate, and the reason
yes.
why she says
Mm,
rape and murder are very deliberate.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the stakes are very high. I mean,
Uh,
she wants to get Lucius there and go persuade the giddy Goths to, not attack Rome. I mean, the barbarians are at the gates here,
Absolutely,
and the
absolutely.
stakes
Yeah,
are
yeah.
really high.
oh, hmm
Yeah.
One thing you said, Tony, about like, scoring the piece and like even visualizing it too, because the matter of what do we believe, what do we not believe, in worlds like this, when so much war is coming on, and I keep saying it, veils do become thin, and like the music and the timbre that we bring in and direct in brings in spirit. That's why we direct in the way that we do. We bring in light, and we play with shadows, we play with sound, which is vibration that literally shifts our beings. And so like I love the question of not knowing, and is it this or is it that, because the scoring would do that. The body's breathing on stage would do
Absolutely,
that,
yeah.
just like voice changes vibration in the air. And so I like that the question is just lifted and we don't know, because the scoring of it and the space in between it is when we start to feel how dark this world is, how much we've lost our humanity, and how lost we don't even see that we're always talking to ourselves. To your point, they're both revenge. And I think that's the poetry of, like, you know, you can try, we can make it literal, but like we forget that this is a poet. And like poetry is spirit. Poet brings spirit in and creates spaciousness for us to think and feel more than we can land on. And so I love this conversation because I think all of it is true and all of it dances in the air in moments like this, as it is dancing in our air.
And audience members' heartbeats start to synchronize when they're watching live theater together,
Well, and
which I can
my
never get
next
over.
my next note relates to this. Of course, I have a note that's to Angie that I can't stop laughing when you say, "These are my ministers and come with me." And your reading of that is absolutely hilarious. But one of the reasons why that line lands so hard is because of the speech before it, where I do get a sense in the speech before it that Titus, I mean, you get a sense that he knows what's going on definitely by that point when he says, "Well, kill your sons and I'll come down." That he
Absolutely, yeah, he
it
has to. Yeah, yeah.
it
Yeah.
feels like he's in control, and this is the first moment when Tamora is knocked off balance a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's there's a relief to the audience, and I think that's why we laugh in that line. I felt a sense of, oh, thank God, because it's just the sword fight. We feel unsure. We're not sure where Titus stands. I'm not sure what his balance is at this point. Um, and then I have another note that the section where he says, "But we worldly men," confuses me a little bit. Um, it's a similar beat to the one before, but why does he choose to? Then he goes back to madness in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know, something just occurred to me, Nick, and this is affects. Tamara announces herself as revenge. It's Titus, am I wrong, who says rape and
No.
murder? Titus is the one who calls the two ministers rape and murder.
Yes.
So that's an indication,
Oh,
because of course they are rape and murder. So
that's
they are,
fascinating.
you know,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
so this, and again, you know, in the same way that Tamara has to, and the boys have to convince Titus of themselves, or at least attempt in some fashion. Titus has to get Tamara out of there so he can start dealing with these boys. You
Yeah.
know, because it's like a ladder. Ultimately, you know, getting rid of the boys, but it's watching. It's what he does to the mother that is because he's the father. You know, and what he does to the mother is but it's interesting. It didn't occur to me
That is
until that.
interesting. Me either. I'm blown.
Yeah.
My mind is blown. I was like, whoa, yeah.
And can you guys help me with this as a director? When Titus exits, where's he going?
They're going to the kitchen.
Yeah, he about to
Yeah.
go cook. He about to put on his robe,
Yeah.
wash
He's
his hands real
getting
good,
Yeah.
sanitize.
get his knives, his
I think it's
filleting
an
knife.
interesting speech before his exit. This is the one I wrote down. You know, it's also really funny. He's like, "Gosh, you know, you look a lot like those people, but you know,
You,
we worldly men have miserable, mad, mistaking eyes," which is a beautiful
Right.
alliteration and so much, you know, good stuff in that language.
you know, if again, because you know we're virtual, so we're not in the room. If I were directing this, come, be everyone officious, boom, boom. Someone would come out and bring me the apron and the cook's hat
And the
right then
cook's
and there,
hat.
because
Beautiful.
to make the banquet, and I think it does turn grotesquely humorous at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think,
There's
you know.
definitely a change right there.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, I could hear it in your reading as well, Jamal. You came to so much, you had such a nice flow. Um, but yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, what exactly, how would we stage that? There's so much opportunity for staging in this scene. So much fun
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, what else did I have? Oh, where was that one part? Oh, it was in the next little bit. One note that I noticed that I really liked, Angie, is um, the section. There's an opportunity to see how she treats her children. And whate'er I forge to feed his brain sick humors, do you uphold and maintain in your speeches? She has a there's this. It's a beautiful parenting moment. You know, it seems like a fun moment where you get to see how she orders her kids around. And I got a little sense of your relationship with them right now, and I wanted even more of it. I like how she orders them. You know, you guys are going to do this. Yeah, that's a beautiful little speech that she has after he leaves, and it's nice for us to look behind the curtain, which is what that speech gives us. Can we read that little section just for our audience so they can hear what we're talking about from line 65 through line 81?
65 through 81.
Yeah, Jamal, do you see that where it says, "Good Lord, how like the
Mm-hmm.
Empress' sons they are," before he
Yep,
leaves?
Got it.
I'm right there. Yeah. Good Lord, how like the Empress' sons they are, and you the Empress. But we worldly men have miserable, mad, mistaking eyes. Oh, sweet revenge, now do I come to thee. And if one arm's embracement will content thee, I will embrace thee in it by and by.
Yeah, this closing with him fits his lunacy. Whate'er I forge to feed his brain-sick humors, do you uphold and maintain in your speeches. For now he firmly takes me for revenge. And being credulous in this mad thought, I'll make him send for Lucius, his son. And whilst I at a banquet hold him sure, I'll find some cunning practice out of hand to scatter and disperse the giddy Goths. Or at the least, make them his enemies. See, here he comes, and I must ply my theme.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The tide seemed to have turned before that. I mean, don't you guys think I get a sense where you know, Titus has found some ground to stand on?
Mm-hmm. And they both, if they both, you know, because they are separated at this point, they both feel like they've done that. They both are they both feel like they've done it.
Yes.
Tamora is deceived, but they both feel like they got each other.
Yeah.
And then they come down and see each other.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's almost like the opening line, "This closing with him fits his lunacy." It's almost like she's justifying it to herself, but I get a sense that she's still not entirely sure. Even, you know, she's almost trying to convince herself and the boys.
That's what I suddenly felt this time, was that she was assessing all of the information she'd been taking in the first part
Yeah.
of the scene, and decided, yeah, I think he is crazy.
Yes, and you can see, and brilliant as Shakespeare is, you can see, I love that you can watch the decision-making process of that, and then see her say, "This
Yeah.
works. Now I must ply my theme." Yeah, very, very, very great. Do you have anything to add language-wise for us, Miranda?
I was just checking a couple of things actually. The first thing I checked was that stage direction towards the end of the scene after Titus exits and then enters with a knife and Lavinia with a basin, and that is in the quartos and in the folio. Interestingly, so that's not the work of a later editor. And then I was also noting in the Arden, they say this use of the word closing, meaning essentially, you know, here this as we agree with him, this agreeing with him suits his lunacy. The Arden points out that the OED actually first cites measure for measure as the first example of using that word closing to mean agreeing. So the OED is wrong because,
Oh.
of course, because this is earlier than measure. So anyway, that's extremely arcane, but otherwise, no. I think the language is wonderful, and it just you guys make it complete. It's not complete until it's being performed. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Do you guys, why don't we switch up, read it one more time, and see if we can gather some different, a different look and a different angle at it?
Awesome. Who do you want to play who this time around?
What, Tony, why don't you give us a Titus, and Angie, do you mind reading Tamora again? And Jamal, do you want to do Chiron or Demetrius? Which one sounds good to you? Either way.
Chiron sounds great. And then
All right.
And then we got someone else, Publius.
Chiron has I really like the line, the Emperor's Sons, that Chiron has. There's a fun little beat. And you want to play Publius and Chiron, Jamal?
Sure.
And I'll read Marcus and Demetrius.
Beautiful. Sounds good.
But by the way, for this one, just for the hell of it, what she's wearing is not fantastic and well thought out. She really hates being in it.
Oh, great.
And she probably picked up something from The Cook, and it's a little smelly. And
yes,
so,
I love that.
I just offering you that.
I love that. That's fantastic.
Thus in this strange and sad habiliment, I will encounter with Andronicus and say I am revenge sent from below to join with him and right his heinous wrongs. Knock at his study, where they say he keeps to ruminate strange plots of dire revenge. Tell him revenge is come to join with him and work confusion on his enemies.
Who doth molest my contemplation? Is it your trick to make me ope the door, that so my sad decrees may fly away, and all my study be to no effect? You are deceived, for what I mean to do, see, here, in bloody lines, I have set down, and what is written shall be executed.
Titus, I am come to talk with thee.
No, not a word. How can I grace my talk, wanting a hand to give it action? Thou hast the odds of me, therefore, no more.
If thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me.
I am not mad. I know thee well enough. Witness this wretched stump. Witness these crimson lines. Witness these trenches made by grief and care. Witness the tiring day and heavy night. Witness all sorrow, that I know thee well for our proud empress, mighty Tamora. Is not thy coming from my other hand?
Know thou, sad man, I am not Tamora. She is thy enemy, I thy friend. I am revenge, sent from the eternal kingdom to ease the gnawing vulture of thy mind by working wreakful vengeance on thy foes. Come down and welcome me to this world's light. Confer with me of murder and of death. There's not a hollow cave or lurking place, no vast obscurity or misty veil, where bloody murder or detested rape can couch for fear, but I will find them out. And in their ears tell them my dreadful name, revenge, which makes the foul offender quake.
Oh, art thou revenge? And art thou sent to me to be a torment to my enemies?
I am. Therefore, come down and welcome me.
Do me some service ere I come to thee. Lo, by thy side where rape and murder stands, now give me some assurance that thou art revenged. Stab them, or tear them on thy chariot wheels, and then I'll come and be thy wagoner and whirl along with thee about the globe, provide thee 2 proper palfreys, black as jet, to hail thy vengeful wagon swift away, and find out murderers in their guilty caves. And when thy cars loaden with their heads, I will dismount and by thy wagon wheel trot like a servile footman all day long, even from Hyperion's rising in the east until his very downfall in the sea. And day by day, I'll do this heavy task, so thou destroy rapine and murder. There.
These are my ministers, and come with me.
Oh, are they thy ministers? What are they called?
Rape and murder. Therefore called, because they take vengeance on such like of men.
Good Lord, how like the Empress' sons they are. And you, the Empress. But we worldly men have miserable, mad, mistaking eyes. Oh, sweet revenge. Now do I come to thee. And if one arm's embracement will content thee, I will embrace thee in it by and by.
This closing with him fits his lunacy. Whate'er I forge to feed his brain-sick humors, do you uphold and maintain in your speeches. For now he firmly takes me for revenge. And being credulous in this mad thought, I'll make him send for Lucius, his son. And whilst I at a banquet hold him sure, I'll find some cunning practice out of hand to scatter and disperse the giddy Goths. Or, at the least, make them his enemies. See, here he comes, and I must ply my theme.
Long have I been forlorn, and all for thee. Welcome, dread fury, to my woeful house. Rapine and murder, you are welcome too. How like the Empress and her sons you are. Well are you fitted, had you but a Moor. Could not all hell afford you such a devil? For well I wot the Empress never wags, but in her company there is a Moor. And would you represent our queen aright, it were convenient you had such a devil. But welcome as you are. What shall we do?
What wouldst thou have us do, Andronicus?
Show me a murderer, I'll deal with him.
Show me a villain that hath done rape, and I am sent to be revenged on him.
Show me 1,000 that hath done thee wrong, and I will be revenged on them all.
Look round about the wicked streets of Rome, and when thou find'st a man that's like thyself, good murder, stab him. He's a murderer. Go thou with him, and when it is thy hap to find another that is like to thee, good rapine, stab him. He is a ravisher. Go thou with them, and in the emperor's court there is a queen attended by a Moor. Well shalt thou know her by thine own proportion, for up and down she doth resemble thee. I pray thee, do on them some violent death that have been violent to me and mine.
Well hast thou lessoned us, and this we shall do. But would it please thee, good Andronicus, to send for Lucius, thy thrice valiant son, who leads towards Rome a band of warlike Goths, and bid him come and banquet at thy house? When he is here, even at thy solemn feast, I will bring in the empress and her sons, the emperor himself, and all thy foes. And at thy mercy shall they stoop and kneel, and on them shalt thou ease thy angry heart. What says Andronicus to this device?
Marcus, my brother, 'tis sad Titus calls. Go, gentle Marcus, to thy nephew Lucius. thou shalt inquire him out among the Goths. Bid him repair to me, and bring with him some of the chiefest princes of the Goths. Bid him encamp his soldiers where they are. Tell him the emperor and empress too feast at my house, and he shall feast with them. This do thou for my love, and so let him as he regards his aged father's life.
This will I do, and soon return again.
Now will I hence about thy business, and take my ministers along with me.
Nay, nay. Let rape and murder stay with... Oh, no. Nay, nay, let rape and murder stay with me, or else I'll call my brother back and cleave to no vengeance but Lucius.
What say you, boys? Will you abide with him whilst I go tell my lord the emperor how I have governed or determined to jest? Yield to his humor, smooth, and speak him fair, and tarry with him until I turn again?
I know them all, though they suppose me mad, and will all reach them in their own devices, a pair of cursed hellhounds, and the damned. Madam, depart at pleasure. Leave us here.
Farewell, Andronicus. Revenge now goes to lay a complot to betray thy foes.
I know thou dost, and sweet revenge. Farewell.
Tell us, old man, how shall we be employed?
Tut. I have work enough for you to do. Publius, come hither. Caius and Valentine.
What is your will?
Know you these two?
The empress' sons, I take them, Chiron and Demetrius.
No, fie, Publius, fie. Thou art too much deceived. The one is murder, and rape is the other's name. And therefore bind them, gentle Publius. Caius and Valentine, lay hands on them. Oh, oft have you heard me wish for such an hour, and now I find it. Therefore bind them sure, and stop their mouths if they begin to cry.
Villains, forbear! We are the empress' sons!
And therefore do we what we are commanded. Stop, close their mouths. Let them not speak a word. Is he sure bound? Look that you bind him fast.
Come. Shh. Come. Lavinia. Look. Thy foes are bound. Sir, stop their mouths. Let them not speak to me, but let them hear what fearful words I utter. O villains Chiron and Demetrius, here stands the spring whom you have stained with mud, this goodly summer with your winter mixed. You killed her husband, and for that vile fault 2 of her brothers were condemned to death. My hand cut off and made a merry jest, both her sweet hands, her tongue, and that more dear than hand or tongue. A spotless chastity in human traitors you have constrained in force. What would you say if I should let you speak? Villains, for shame, you could not beg for grace. Hark, wretches, how I mean to martyr you. This one hand yet is left to cut your throats, whilst that Lavinia tween her stumps doth hold the basin that receives your guilty blood. You know your mother means to feast with me, and calls herself revenge, and thinks me mad. Hark, villains, I will grind your bones to dust, and with your bones and it I'll make a paste, and of the paste a coffin I will rear, and make 2 pasties of your shameful heads, and bid that strumpet your unhallowed dam, like to the earth, swallow her own increase. This is the feast I have bid her to, and this the banquet she shall surfeit on. For worse than Philomel, you used my daughter, and worse than Procne, I will be revenged. And now, prepare your throats. Lavinia, come. Receive the blood. And when that they are dead, let me go grind their bones to powder small, and with this hateful liquor temper it, and in that pace let their vile heads be baked. Come, be everyone officious, to make this banquet, which I wish may prove more stern and bloody than the centaur's feast. So now bring them in, for I will play the cook and see them ready against their mother comes.
Beautiful. Very different and very beautiful. It's such a pleasure. I love multiple casts. Like, I really like, when you can see a show with one cast and then go see it with another cast. I always loved that and TS does that. Does Noise Within do that as well, Miranda, or they keep the same cast all the way through? Yeah.
They keep the same cast. I mean, we have understudies, but yeah, no flipping. I'm thinking about the production at the National Theater a few years ago in which Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller were in Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, that was
swapped
great.
off. Really interesting, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alternated who was Victor and who was the creature. Yeah.
But it's interesting. You can see who's natural for one role, and then the skills of the other actor doing the role that those production, the first 20 minutes of that production without a word were incredible, I thought.
Yeah.
I saw the Philip Seymour Hoffman, John C. Reilly, True West that they switched off, and that was quite a sight to see. Off subject, but beautiful reading. No. Thank you for jumping in and covering the director's terrible acting. But I was watching with the director's eyes and missing my cues. So thank you all for saving me. Very beautiful. I got a different sense of Titus's control in that scene from you, Tony, that I really enjoyed. I was cracking up. It is quite funny in that from Art Thou Revenge all the way through, and is hilarious. It really lands very well, and we need to laugh. It's so tense that I get, it feels so great as an audience it's invigorating to have the laughter.
Yeah. It's so hard, when you're reading, you're just reading. I mean, there's so many things you can just see. Like Diamond going and putting his stumped arm. It always has to be the stumped arm with the blood, right? Right around the boys.
Yes,
right around the boy. Actually, So I'll tell you what you do. Here, come on, boys. You go.
And Angie, you had a great adjustment too. So it was wonderful that Tony pointed out that Titus comes up with the name Rape and Murder, and then she says that their names are Rape and Murder.
I actually do say it before.
Do you say it before? Does she say it? Oh, let me see.
Not capitalized, but I say it.
It was still a very funny reading.
Yeah. I inspired myself, having done that about the costume, that she decides to play like the witches at the beginning.
Yes.
She likes to play a character, and then it gets too difficult, so she has to sort of shed that as she goes along. At least that's what happened this time. I don't know.
Where does she say that? Where does she say it, Angie?
She doesn't exactly identify here.
63.
I'm having trouble manipulating my pages now.
Although sad, man.
Line 63, Tamora says rape and murder, therefore.
Or 38. Yes, is that what you're thinking? Where there's not a hollow cave or lurking place, no vast obscurity or misty veil, where bloody murder or detested rape can couch for fear, but I will find them out. So
I suggested in any
you
case.
Suggested,
but you're speaking in general terms.
But it does seem like Titus is the one that specifically named
literalizes it. Yeah,
I mean, he that may be.
Yeah, that's well. It's very it's very clear that he. I don't know. I'm trying to remember when Lavinia, like in the Ovid, sort of draws. Who has done? Does she draw? Does she say just Tamora, did she say the sons of Tamora? Did she write Chiron and Demetrius? What did she write? Do you remember?
I think she writes Chiron and
The
Demetrius.
names,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
it's her and
yeah.
then her fiance or her husband. They run away and get married, right?
Yeah, they're married. Bassianus. Yeah.
And for our audience who hasn't seen the show, that's an incredibly difficult scene to watch where Lavinia's hands have been removed and she writes the names of her rapists with her mouth. Is that correct, Miranda?
Yeah, yes, it's Act 4, Scene 1. The stage direction reads, she takes the staff, or uh, the staff. She takes the staff in her mouth and guides it with her stumps and writes. And what she
Yeah.
writes is stuprum, or rape, stupron, Chiron, Demetrius. She's gone to she's leafed through the Ovid and found the story of Philomel and Procne, so they know what has happened, and then she's able to name them.
It's amazing that Shakespeare based a lot of this play off of that book, and then he includes the book within the play.
It's so postmodern, isn't it? I mean, it's just stunning. I went and looked it up again in the Ovid, and it's really quite, it's quite horrific what happens, and it takes place over time. But when Tereus, Procne's husband, who has raped Philomel, her sister, and cut out her tongue, sits down, eats the pie into which his son has been baked, and then calls for his son, bring Itys here, my son. And Procne tells him what has happened, and then Philomel rushes in. Her flowing hair is stained with butchery and blood. Against the father's face, she flings the bleeding head of Itys, of the son. So it's really, really, Shakespeare didn't have far to look, for these violent images, cycles of violence, and so on. But yeah, it's so postmodern that's the source, and then there's the book within the play. Yeah.
And I got a lot of sense of, Jamal, what you're talking about when you're saying he says it. Titus gives so much information about his sanity throughout the scene. He tells us exactly where his madness lies.
And Shakespeare's good at that, at telling us what he wants us to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, I enjoyed that. Both of these readings, I really enjoyed his aside to the audience. It seems we also needed that. We needed some reassurance from Titus. I wonder if it seems like Shakespeare almost got a sense of not going too far, not upsetting the crowd, and he keeps you on your toes, but he can make you feel safe and terrified both at the same time. It's an incredible feat.
Well, that's a thought. I think you're right. But like, I go back to our point about how you leave the play and what you gather from it, and what you take home with it is a matter of where you sit with comfort with this type of conversation and violence, because I do think it's human to create some guardrails around it. But yeah, to your point, I see that too.
There was a production. I'm sorry. There was a production with. There was a production. I think it was since the pandemic at the Sam Wanamaker, the indoor playhouse at Shakespeare's Globe. There was a production of Titus, and apparently, audience members were fainting, when confronted by it. If you don't know what's coming, but yeah, very visceral.
This is like a whole conversation, though, about why we enjoy this kind of story, which obviously people did. It was done over and over. It's like, why do children like grim fairy tales?
Yes.
It's because it's a reassurance somehow, or some of it, it's a reassurance that the world we live in is not this awful.
Yes.
What are the other? I mean, that's a whole conversation about why do we like this kind of shit.
Well, it's like why did people go watch gladiators kill each other? Why did they still watch UFC? Or cage fighting, or it's interesting. It's
or any modern movie.
Yeah, if I watch, like, I watch some of the times those survival shows where people have to live out in the woods for a month and freeze and they have no food. And when I watch that, it makes me feel really warm and cozy in my house with my hot tea.
Mhm.
And so
I
I
think it's in
wonder.
this play. What we're asking, I think, is the question, and I think like it's beautifully in the poetry. Witness, 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 witness,
Yes.
witness. Look at you. Look at humanity, which is why I think psychologically this is something that we do to protect ourselves from the truth of us. And like psychology says this, spirituality says this. Our world is this. Shakespeare was always writing about our world as is and mirroring us, and then he would go to fantasy to. This is what authors and writers and poets and artists do. We create some distance, not for us to protect ourselves, but for us to see ourselves, because we feel, oh, that's not me right now. But when we meet that, we can see ourselves and have resources through history to look at what has been written again and ask the question again, which is why I say it depends on where you are sitting with the comfort with what our world is today and what's being mirrored back to you.
Mhm.
Because the question that was asked at the beginning of this play, again, is the question that has been asked in this world today. And I think it's interesting that we think there's distance here. I believe you, but I do not see safety here. I see our world on this day, I don't know what the date is, in 2025, and us as a world doing what psychology says is creating distance because it might be all gone in a moment. And that's also human. Nothing wrong with it. It's human. But we don't catch our reflections. Only a few do at a time, but more do each time. But only a few do at a time, but more do each time. But again, no one's protected here. The play just literally killed everybody, including the most vulnerable. Put a woman on display. She finds her voice when the world takes their voice still. And so I get passionate about, I think I think it's funny that we missed that.
You know, and to get in more particular, a mother tells her sons to take her voice. A mother lets these hellhounds loose. It's not just all male. But I have to say, the thing that, which is very interesting, less, we draw a line, you know what I mean? But there's something very interesting that I thought Shakespeare doesn't allow us out. The scene that I've always loved in this play, and what we're reading is a great scene, is the scene where it's 3-2, where Marcus swats something. He's just like they're at
Yes.
dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
Fly.
what do you strike at with your knife? He says, I've killed a fly. And he goes nuts. Out on thee, murderer, thou killst my heart. How if that fly had a father and a
As a
mother?
mother and a
Yes.
father.
How so
Tony,
in the midst of
we lost your
all of
camera,
this,
sir.
Tony, your
sorry?
camera's off.
Oh, I'm
Your
sorry.
camera is off,
Okay,
Tony.
okay.
You're making
Sorry.
a really important point right now, so I
I'm
want to
back.
make sure we can see you, because
That is
that.
weird. That is weird. I
Yeah.
have no idea why my camera's off. But in the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of all this violence, all of this brutality Jamal is talking about, and all of a sudden, a fly, and I always think of it in the world that we, the brutality that exists all over the world, and we do what we call squirrel, in that epic, in that animated thing, when the dog sees, every time he sees a squirrel, he goes like that. That's what I feel like as a liberal society we do. We go squirrel, squirrel. And meanwhile, right in front of us, dead center, is the vastness of the pain, the vastness of the task at hand. And we're squirrel, oh, he said that. Oh, she did that. Oh, well,
The monkey brain.
Monkey brain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even the popularity of this play itself. The fact that this is such a violent play and it was one of his most popular plays.
Yeah.
It's worth looking into that.
Yeah, that
The
haunts me.
the other play I keep thinking about is about 15 months ago, A Noise Within performed Sweeney Todd. So I was the dramaturg for that,
Yeah.
and here we are again, endless cycles of vengeance, and Sweeney kills, what he loves most. He cannot see who that character actually is, and everybody's being baked into pies again. But the final song there, isn't that Sweeney there beside you, and we're all implicated, in these cycles
And
because we
Shakespeare
watch them.
And Shakespeare does this wonderful thing too, which our world does as well, which is putting a mirror on when you are made vulnerable. And Lavinia, it has everything taken from her, and she is still the one that finds her voice. And like, that's also what I feel in these rooms a lot of time when we're having the conversation, and what's being said with the nail on the head without dancing around it is usually the ones who are most vulnerable in this world in the room. And Shakespeare did this because it was the maids, it was the servants speaking truth to the kings. And it still happens in these artistic rooms. I said it last time, we ask these questions when we know what the truth is and what's possible. And I don't know why we are still doing that when the mirror is very clear. And it's a matter of consciousness. These things have been written always. And we keep saying back then. And just like back then, why did everybody watch it? And why does everybody love it? Because again, as a collective, we hadn't gotten there yet. Now we need to stop asking the questions where we know the answers. This is humanity, and we can change it in a moment once we realize what we do to the most vulnerable in the room and what we do to silence people. And then when we can't have our way, how we like blood and money to get our way. It's not a far-fetched idea. It is, just is, when you open your eyes and take a breath to see what's directly in front of you. More got it now, but we have to start really looking at the language and still asking questions, but also not missing the mirror that is ancient. There is nothing new under the sun. And Shakespeare again says it through a perceived, maybe possibly madman: witness, 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 witness. These bloody lines, society, we wrote, we create, it trickles down to the least of us from the top. And Shakespeare has it weaved in through everything, just like all great poets and anybody who put a pen to a pad or paint to a canvas does. They speak truths in between the lines. It's in the space in between that we see ourselves. But we like to dance, which is why they dance and play, and we don't know who's crazy and who's sane. Yeah, welcome to humanity on the world that has existed since we got in here. But if we can say it in the room, like I said last week, that means that, oh, we can get closer to it because we are saying it. And I'm just an actor.
That's why it's a good time to produce this play.
Yeah.
You guys
I would love to see this.
Bingo?
Bingo.
You know the play Bingo?
No.
Yeah. Well, if you want, about Shakespeare's time, it's Edward Bond.
Oh, yeah. I would say, remind me. Yes, I remember.
It's an Edward Bond play, and it's certainly not done at Shakespeare festivals. Because it looks at Shakespeare late in his life. Yeah, and he's wondering what the hell. Art is supposed to be humanizing. Art, everyone tells me I'm a great artist. Everyone tells me, but when I walk to my theater, I hear the sounds of bears being baited in the pits. I see heads on the spikes, and it's just a very. Unfortunately, there's a second. It's surrounded by like a land. Shakespeare was a landlord. He invested in land in Stratford, and there was a squatters. There were a lot of squatters that were going from place to place. So consequently, he's estranged from his family. So it's the squatters thing is very, very difficult. But the stuff about him in the theater is really, it's an anti-romantic look at what Elizabethan theater was by a playwright who, is, pretty intense. Yeah.
Oh, I got to read that.
And successful. Yeah. No, thank you for reminding me of that one.
Yeah.
Tony.
If you get anyone to produce it, I'd love to audition for it.
Yeah.
If you get anyone to produce it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for this conversation. I really am, because I think that is in these rooms where we're looking at these things, we have that spaciousness that we have the opportunity to. And I get passionate about these because we also know through history that it's in these times where the mirror becomes more vibrant, and it is art that guides us through times like this. So I always say mark history, because it's important that we're talking about what we're talking about, because art,
definitely,
art, art,
which is so important, and is so the opposite of frivolous, especially right now. And the first thing autocracies do is stamp out the arts, and look who's chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center now, and that was not an accident or pure ego. It was those things too. It was ego, but it was very, very strategic.
Yep. So let's not miss what's happening and where we actually are today.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a long time ago, but I'm glad we are realizing today.
But then and now, and it's it's such a good point. Just the fact that this play was reproduced in all these quartos, and then and not really changed substantially between the quartos and the folio. It was an ongoing bestseller for Shakespeare. You know Nick, and you perhaps, and Jamal definitely, maybe too young to remember this, but I have hopes that Angie and Tony will remember. Do you remember that movie Rollerball from the 1970s with James
Sure, sure.
Caan?
James
Remember
Caan.
that?
Yeah,
James
yeah,
Caan, remember that one? Yeah. So there's no more war. Everywhere. What there is this incredibly violent spectator sport,
yeah,
and that just starts to spiral out of control.
yeah, yeah.
I find myself thinking about that one too.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I thought it might be an interesting time to explore this scene is because I was literally
Yeah.
thumbing through the TV and I saw cage fighting. And I was like, it's amazing to me that we still watch this, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
so popular and
Yeah.
huge, big billion-dollar business. And it's
Yeah.
just like, a mild version of the gladiator, fights,
Bread and
basically. And
circuses.
Yeah.
Bread
yeah.
and circuses. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, and and then I was watching an interview with Julie Taymor, and she was discussing about how Shakespeare has packed many different types of violence into this show,
Oh yeah.
from just so many different types. And it's worth an exploration of what is society's fascination with that Jamal was so eloquently talking about earlier. Then,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
Well, and it's all there in this play too. I mean, there's this horrible violation of Lavinia, and then there's Aaron. There's racism, there's misogyny, it's all just right there then as now. As we've been exploring.
and then, and
And
really,
I,
Aaron's
I
baby survives in the end of this play. Am I correct?
he does, and Julie Taymor makes a lot of that. Of course, she has young Lucius, as we were saying, walking off with him. But yes, because Aaron makes Lucius swear to to um to save his son and establish him somewhere to be brought up in safety, or he's not. He says, or I'm not going to tell you anything. And Lucius swears. But yes, the
Mhm.
baby survives.
Some
and
beautiful
and
messages and everything.
yeah, yeah. And Aaron, I think Aaron's villainy is complicated by his paternity. He loves this child. He's fiercely protective of this child, and the way he confronts the nurse. And now we're getting off scene here, but when he confronts the nurse, saying, "Is black so basic, Hugh? What's wrong with you? Why are you saying that?" And I mean, that too is very you know
Hmm.
contemporary. And I don't. I mean, I've had these conversations a lot about Othello and Merchant of Venice and these other plays that I know some of my colleagues don't think we should still be performing, and I don't think that. I think we should perform them and use them as vehicles to have brave conversations about difficult
Yes.
topics, as we're all doing here. But I don't mean to be simple-minded and say, "Oh, Shakespeare's universal," and he means the same thing to everybody. That's
Mm.
not that's a disservice too.
I sort of agree with you. And I
Hmm.
I directed a production of Merchant of Venice at Cal Shakes,
Hmm.
and
When
it's this
when
was
was this
during the
started?
'80s at Cal
Hmm.
Shakes during the '80s,
Okay.
and it's a hot cake even in the '80s.
Oh
It
yeah.
was I mean, and so consequently, the first thing I did is I called a friend and she put me in touch with a rabbi, and I had lunch with a rabbi,
Hmm.
and says, well, what do you think? Just and it was very, very interesting. He says, what, we should forget?
Hmm.
We shouldn't do these plays, so
Yeah.
that we'll forget
Yeah.
it never happened. And it was
Yeah.
very, very interesting because I think it would be impossible to do that play in this day and age, at
Oh
least
yeah.
so far, without understanding the situation. And it
It,
was interesting because, excuse me, and then I'll stop. I got to play at Utah. I got to play Shylock at Utah, and
yeah.
I was told that this one actor played it in the '70s, and there was applause at the conversion.
Yeah.
That did not happen in
Yeah. Well,
2010. That did
yeah,
not
that
happen.
gets
So
a
people
lot.
do change, and
And
people, you know.
it's an
Wow.
anti-Semitic play. I've written on this. This was years ago. We used to live in Washington, D.C., and the Shakespeare Theater has a big annual fundraiser where they, will argue some case about involving Shakespeare's characters, and they'll get a Supreme Court justice to preside. So this was
Yes,
in
yes, yes.
1999, right before we moved out here. Actually, it was, resolved that Merchant of Venice is an anti-Semitic play, which, I was the
Yes.
witness for that argument, and it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg
Yeah.
who was the justice, and we ended up with a hung jury,
Fascinating.
5-7,
Wow.
5-7, which I really took as a victory because, of course, everyone came in there saying, "Oh, he's Shakespeare, he's woke enough for the," we didn't use this word in 1999, but basically, this is what this comes down to: the sort of defensiveness that Shakespeare has to be woke enough for the 21st century, which is ridiculous. It's
Yes,
an
yes.
anti-Semitic play. That's not all it is, but it is an anti-Semitic play. And
Yeah.
we have colleagues and people who just twist themselves into contortions, trying to demonstrate, trying to argue that not only is it not anti-Semitic, it's actually secretly pro-Jewish. Othello is a racist play, right? Othello is a racist play. That's not all it is, but it's, that's there too. And some of you have heard me talk about my shock when I taught that play again back in the 90s at Howard University when I was in English department there. And my students taught me more about Othello than I taught them, I sometimes think. So,
Sure.
but we just have to be open to these things. But yeah, you notice how Shakespeare plays certain plays are everywhere. A couple of years ago, everybody was doing Much Ado About Nothing on both sides of the pond. Why is that? But nobody's been touching Merchant of Venice. I haven't seen Merchant, or seen or heard of a production of Merchant in a long time, especially not now.
Yeah. It's interesting because if it's funny, I guess when I did it, both as a director and an actor, is there's justification for Sherlock, and if nothing else, he
Sure.
uses the stereotype
Yeah.
to his benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
the thing that amazes me, and you see it in Aaron, and you see it, is just when you think you know the character. I imagine it's sort of like a ball, and just when you think, all of a sudden an arm pops out, and another arm pops out, and all of a sudden there's a human being there, a full human being there, and it's quite powerful. Yeah, but some people just can't. It's funny with Othello for me, and again, I've sort of been involved. That's why I find the problem with Othello now, to me, is no longer, it is racist. That's the point. He uses that in a kind of way.
Exactly.
But
and yeah.
it's an examination of, but where I think the problem is that as soon as he slaps Desdemona,
Yeah.
we step into a wife beating other kind of thing, and we lose track of his journey because of that, in spite of the fact that he's pushed to it he's brought to it by Iago. I feel we've lost the power of Othello, which was quite popular. I mean, all the great actors wanted to play Othello. They did not want to play Iago,
Right.
So it's interesting.
I understudied Blair Underwood in Othello at the Oak Globe when I was in grad school, and
no way.
It was a great opportunity, and
That's
my
cool.
understudy run was amazing. Just so y'all know, it was great, and I was wonderful to work on the piece and to experience it for the first time when I was still training in grad school. And it was interesting to hear all the conversations. To your point, Tony, of everybody being mad at Othello. How could he? How could he? Why would he? I'm like, did y'all not watch the whole effing play and see his humanity taken from him? And how could he, even if you take race out of it, like, men spent more time with men. They were away. They get close. They get intimate. That's who they talk to. Things happen historically in separate rooms in this. And it just, again, people coming to see a show doesn't know the history, but to see the collective question this Black man after seeing him be a human and be tossed around by the world. It was real interesting. As the only person of any color in my graduate class, I was the only person of any color in my graduate class to walk out and hear those questions every night. And I was like, this is a real interesting world.
You know,
Yeah.
and one other thing about Othello, I played Iago twice, right? And we'd get the question, why? What does he do? You know, what does he do? Why does he? I
Motiveless
may have brought this
malignity.
up. Yeah, you know, what is it? Malignancy. What is it? Motiveless
Malignity.
malignancy.
Polar
Yeah.
age.
Well, good
Yeah.
luck playing that. Well,
Yeah.
I, I don't know. I've lived in the world a number of years, and if we look again, if we look at our society and how people respond in this day and age to, I mean, if we look at workplace violence,
Yeah.
we just, you know, oh, you fired me. Oh, good. I'll come back and shoot everyone.
Yep.
You know, but that used to leave my mouth. I thinking, boy, you haven't read the paper in a while, have you?
Yeah. 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 You know,
Mm-hmm.
there was a wonderful series of videos done, short videos by the British National Council in 2016 to commemorate, as we don't say to commemorate the anniversary of Shakespeare's death, to commemorate the beginning of his posthumous life, his posthumous reputation. But I'll send you all the link. There's a couple of them are, I mean, they're all marvelous, but the one to Othello is particularly great, and the one to the one about the Tempest is
Oh, great.
particularly great. Titus didn't make the cut, no pun intended, for some reason,
Oh.
but sorry, everybody. But I'll send those along, and they're very just a different way of thinking about these plays 400 years later.
Well, we've got 8 minutes left. Should we just read it one more time after this beautiful discussion and see where we land at the end and throw a little pacing
Ooh, I
in
don't
on
know.
it?
I feel like we're
Oh
done.
no!
We don't have to. We can save it for next time. Absolutely.
Mm.
Man, we've done a lot of thinking on
This
this.
is the marination period. We just talked about something. We gotta let it marinate and come back.
I completely understand that. Absolutely. We've got
Titus barbecue. What do you think?
little people pies.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I might go with that. You know, I need some secondary income.
Oh God, I'm glad you all enjoyed that really awful, silly graphic I sent you of,
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Aria serving best served cold, and I know Nathan loved fireplaceable. You know, you can heat it up in the fireplace. But
Uh,
mm.
well, next time, I
There's
really
Nathan.
like Nathan. There he is. Well, congratulations, everybody. It was really, really a worthy discussion today and beautiful. And we'll look at a
Thank
little bit
you.
more of the performance element next week, maybe some pacing, and continue on the process of the direction that we're going in now. It's lovely to watch.
Yeah.
Nathan,
Yeah.
hi.
Hey everybody, yeah, this was great, and yes, to tie it back to the comment at the beginning, we'll talk offline, trying to find a date that everybody can be there, be present for the the final session. We'll see if we can make that work, and not kick it into 2026 or anything. But yeah, no, this was another really fun evening of discussion. Not only just the last 20 minutes or so, and even as an observer, as a person interested in theater, interested in Shakespeare, even when we navigate away from the scene per se, there's still a lot of relevant conversation, and there's just a lot of interesting stuff that you guys brought up that I just enjoyed, and I also love those moments where you're still, each of you are finding things in the text going, wait a second, I just noticed, or it just landed on my ear this way. That's that's always fun because as an observer, I'm not diving into this as deeply as each of you are. So you're pulling out more and more things that I get to enjoy as an audience member and appreciate about this scene. So it's fun to be along for the ride. That it's just a great reminder that no one comes in the first session going, okay, I've uncovered all the clues, I have everything mapped out, I know all the references, and it kind of struck me. I'm sure we could debate this a little bit, but this scene really does seem so up to interpretation in terms of where each of the characters are throughout the scene, more so than, if we pick a scene from Much Ado or Winter's Tale, like things seem a little bit more straightforward in terms of where we could probably argue where is Iago in any moment of the scene, but yeah, it's just fun that there's so much up for debate. And while recognizing, Jamal, your point that like you feel like the text is very clear in terms of what people are saying, but there is a lot of openness of like the staging and where what are people hearing or not hearing, and what are they playing at, and all that stuff. It's great. So it's a long-winded way of me saying I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying all the discussion, and so value and enjoy and appreciate all of your participation in this. So thank you guys so much for another great evening. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Ooh,
Thanks,
thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you all
All
so
right.
Yeah.
much.
Be well.
See you all next time.
See you
Can't
soon.
wait to see you next week.
Take
All right.
care.
Take
Be
care,
good to
everybody.
you.
Thanks,
Those next
everyone.
to you.
Bye.